Alright, and so we are back. So, yeah, last time we looked at the basic set of Spintronics at 1. Well, I got something else. Yeah, here. I need a bigger frame. Da 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 da. Alright, well, as impressive as it is, the box sort of lies. Yeah, let's leave it there. Yeah, as impressive as this box is, and the box is very impressive, but it sort of lies. It says Spintronic at 1 6-pack. They do sell 6 packs of each of the sets, and hell, they sell 6 packs of all of the sets, which, if you're a particularly crazy individual, which I'm not quite yet, but I'm not too far off. But yeah, so I love that it says the time wandering journey begins. Okay, cool. Let's open it up and see what's inside. I'm guessing this is not what's actually inside. This is just whatever box I had on hand with this printing on it. But, yeah, apologies. Like I said, it's a bit big to fit in frame, so I know everyone loves watching the slicing, but whatever. Alright. So top open. Let's see if there we go. I'll have to do. Alright, got some cardboard, or got some paper. That'll go there. Whole lot of bubble wrap. No. I'll give them credit. It's well packed. Alright, got a bill of materials. Okay, bill looks good. Wow. Okay, interesting, cool. Alright, so in no particular order, well, in order of from the top of the box to the bottom, we got the Spintronics Power Pack. At 1 kit is needed, at 2 kit is recommended. 11 new puzzles. Ooh, how interesting. 11 new puzzles. Includes battery, 6 volt, and 100 ohm resistor, 50 spin ohm resistor. Neat, neat. Cool. Right, yeah, I'll take a look at that in a moment, but nothing that, well, okay, the new values of resistors, but I already showed you the resistors before. Got more chain links. I know, I can use the old packaging as a temporary box to put everything in. Yeah. This is extra bases. Nice. Spare inductor. Some switches. A capacitor. A second capacitor. What do they call it? A junction. A transistor. Yeah, I want to play with these. These look like fun. What are you? Oh, a diode. Now this is the one component that does not actually come in any large sets. That it only is sold separately, which I have questions. Why? I mean, it's cool that they invented it and they actually sell these things, but why don't they come in a set? Like that seems like a cool item to include in a set. Oh, a resistor, another resistor, another resistor of different values. Let's see, we got 200, 100, and 500. Let's see, another switch. Another diode. There should be 4 diodes in total. I got the value pack. Another junction. Yeah, I think I mentioned I went a little all out with this, so another junction. Another transistor. Cool. Another junction. Another transistor. Another diode. Another resistor, 1K, 1000 ohms. And a diode. Alright, and that does it for the individually packaged components. I'll just set them all to one side for now. Now the real question is, where am I going to put these long term? Like the sets are nice. They are pre-packaged. Like all the components are nicely laid out inside a box, but these are individual parts. I'm going to have to come up with some sort of packaging system or box to put them in, or something nice. Alright, and the last thing is, in there kind of snug, so bear with. Alright, sorry. Do. Also, you know what? While I had the camera moving about, if you're wondering what is that in my background, yeah, I got a giant poster of the Open 6502 schematic. Isn't it lovely? It measures 1 meter by 1 meter, and yeah, I love it. Yeah. If you couldn't tell already, yeah, I'm a bit of an electronic nerd. Alright, and here we have it, folks. Spintronics Act 2. The time-wandering journey continues. Spintronics, build mechanical circuits. By Upper Story. The story builds with new parts and puzzles. Set it, feel it, understand it. Discover electronics in a fascinating new way. Solve puzzles and join Natalie's circuits. Building adventure. Ages 8 to adult. Single or group gameplay. Build your own circuits. Includes custom Spintronic circuit components. 158-page story-driven puzzle book. Cool. Let's open her up. Again, lovely artwork. Really nice. Interesting that they show components from both Act 1 and Act 2 on the cover, not just Act 2, which, yeah, fair enough. They do say... Yeah, they do blatantly say here, the Act 1 kit is needed to play this game. So, yeah, fair enough. But, yeah, Act 2 is when things get really interesting, because Act 1 basically just has passive components. This one actually includes a few active components, mainly the transistors. Alright. Didn't quite cut. There we go. Alright, let's open her up. Here. Yep. Right. Alright. Get out of here. Alright, once again, lovely box, really nice printing on the outside. Same general construction as the first one. Interesting enough, the lid is only the half thickness. This bottom section is joined to, like, the middle and bottom are like joined together. So, bit of an odd design. Not that I'm complaining, it's just very different. Different from most, like, cardboard boxes, like storage boxes you see, like usually for games like this or puzzles or like jigsaw puzzles, or like board games. Board games do this a lot, but yeah, usually the side is the entire depth of the box. But I don't know, I guess they decided to do it this way. What does it say on the backs? Learn to bend raw energy, split it, store it, multiply it. Oh, sorry. Learn to bend raw energy, split it, store it, multiply it, reverse it, and shape it to your will. Now you can see and feel circuits with the first mechanical equivalent of electronics ever built. You know, I'll skip reading all these details. You'll probably be able to find it on the website or anything, but yeah, let's just burst into it and see what we get. Alright, well, immediately we're thrown with an advertisement. Nice. For Turing Tumble, which, you know, actually does look really interesting. Oh yeah, and another advert for more Spintronics. Okay. I'm guessing what they do is, if you buy a set of Turing Tumble, it has one of these inside, or maybe the Act 1 version of this. Alright, so we get another lovely book, which, yeah, more or less what I expect. Same general concepts and, Alright, same little puzzles and then explanations as to what they're trying to teach you, and more story. Same binding as, again, nice metal bound. Although this one's smooth. This one doesn't have the same texture as the other one did. I mean, it's not perfectly smooth, but it feels smoother. It's not as rough. I need to do a side-by-side comparison, but yeah, interesting. Alright, right, so once again we get these very shiny base plates. And you know what? Okay, so yeah, quick disclaimer, some time has passed, what was it, like 2-3 days since I did the first video. So, 2 days, sorry. It has been 2 days since I did the first video, and I was messing around with the first set quite a bit, and something I discovered is these shiny plates are super difficult to keep shiny. It's so easy to get them smudgy and fingerprints all over them, which, yeah, it's not a huge deal, but one thing I will say that is actually a bit of an issue, not so much for most components, but with the 1K ohm resistor, I find that if you put on the base and you turn it too fast, the base will rotate on the metal plate, which, yeah, I've had a few issues where I set up a circuit, I yank the cord, I let it rip, and the part just goes flying on me, which, not great, but I've also equally had many situations where I pull the cord, it skirts a little bit, and it finds a resting spot, and as soon as it finds a happy spot, it's just planted there. It just stays. And I can repeatedly pull the cord, I can play around with it, I can poke and nudge things, and it's just planted. It doesn't want to move. So, mixed results, I'm saying. And also, it is a 1K resistor, so it is the one with the highest actual, like, torque through the base. Because you gotta remember, the only thing stopping, like, you got the cogwheel at the top trying to rotate, and the thing that's fighting it rotating is the grease pit, is the rotary damper, and that's going through the base, and then, or through the stem and then into the base. And so as a cog is trying to turn, it's also trying to rotate the entire base along with it. And so the base is the only thing fighting that rotation. And so the higher the resistance, the more the base wants to turn on you. Now, in theory, the worst offenders should be the switches because they have effectively infinite resistance. But at least in practice, I have not had any issues with my switches, so yay. So what I'm saying is results may vary from component to component. Right, so let's go over the pieces. Like I said, once again, we get these shiny metal plates. They're really nice. They are, again, after playing around with them for a while, they are a bit more robust than I feared. But at the same time, they're still, like, these little plastic pieces are, yeah, like, they do work, they do get the job done. I'm just a little concerned about their longevity. Like, if we zoom in on it, here's the other thing. Where it actually connects, if I use a pencil, or actually, I can show you. So if I actually put it into place, you'll see that it connects right there. And I'm not sure if I can, yeah. So you'll see that it connects over here and here. But then there's also this little bit of a slot here to allow this bottom arm to flex, because there's a small bump. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but there's a tiny bump right there, which basically it's an indent. It means that it clicks into place, that when you twist it, there's this nice little, like, click, like this very soft click. You can't really hear it, but you can feel it, and that locks it into place. But in order for it to have that click, the plastic needs to flex. And for it to flex, you have this little, you have this little slot right here. And while it allows it to flex a bit, it also does introduce a weak spot. So again, this is maybe unfounded, I'm not sure. I haven't pushed it to its limits, but it does raise a few eyebrows, at least for me, from a design standpoint. But I'll admit, thinking about the problem, it is a hard problem to solve. Like, so you have these metal bases that they need to join together somehow, and you want them to be somewhat sturdy, and yet at the same time easily come apart. Now, I was thinking that maybe you could have some sort of latch. Like, one solution would be integrate the latch directly into these pieces and have them snap together, sort of like model train track. And that would work. That could work. Like, you could have a sort of attachment here and a female attachment there, and then the two click together. That could work. Another solution is have sort of like a wooden railway system, or like a jigsaw puzzle, where one bump is sort of mushroom shaped, and then the hole is also sort of mushroom shaped, and the two slide into each other. That could also work, although they'll equally be able to slide up out, so that's not a perfect solution. Another idea I had was maybe have something on the back side that you clip in and have that really be robust. And that would be great for strength, but it does mean that you have to put it together upside down, then flip it over, and then you can use it. Which, for dynamic play of put it together, take apart, put it together, that's a bit of a faff. So I can see why the designers would not go with that as an idea. As is, like, this is a usable solution. The other issue with this as a solution is essentially you have this small little circle area that is not magnetic. So when two pieces are joined together, yeah, you have a small little section that is not magnetic, and so you can't really put any parts over top of this exact spot. Now, thankfully, in practice, that's not a huge issue, but it does also limit how big these can be. The bigger they are, the bigger the no-go zone is. So, it's a trade-off. More delicious silica gel. Yum. More chain links. And I'm glad to see that they also have the blue links in here as well, which is nice. Actually, so yeah, I did count. At least in that one, there were exactly 10 links. 10 links that were of blue color. And, okay, that's nice. It means that you get about 30 links for every one blue, or 29 black for every one blue link. And, well, in theory, that's fine. In practice, that's actually kind of too many blue links, funny enough. Not a bad problem to have, but it's kind of funny because, what was it, like, 38 was like the minimum number of links you need to make a full loop or something between two medium-sized components. Yeah, so funny that. Something like that. Of course, we get more of these junctions, which, yeah, no, if I did not express this already, I love these junctions. These are pretty damn cool. Like, they are just wonderful. Like, beautiful gearing, very intricate design, super smooth bearings. Well, okay, that was a bit on the wobbly side. Oops. Oh well, that's fine. Again, like I said, the slight jankiness is oddly charming, even though, like, it is a high quality toy. So, I'll put up with it. It doesn't affect playability or functionality. So, yeah, it's fine. I'm not gonna be that guy. One thing I was thinking of doing, and I'm debating whether I should go through with it or not. Maybe I should do a test, but so you got all this really nice, like, engravings along the top surface of each of these components, but the engravings are a little hard to see. Even in real life, they're not the most obvious of things. An idea I had, and I don't know if I'm going to go through with it. I might not, just to preserve these, but a trick is to basically put some sort of paint or grease on this surface and then wipe it off, and that leaves behind any area that is like recessed, dark, and then the top surface is just a natural like blue, and it means that all of the engraving will essentially be colored. And yeah, I think that would be a cool idea to try, but I'm also scared to ruin these parts, so yeah. Right, zooming back out. What else do we have? We got the capacitor, which I showed off last time. One thing I did notice is, or something really cool. So in the book, they actually have exploded views of the parts, which is really cool. But something else which I found out is that you can actually take these apart, sorta, without actually damaging them. I mentioned earlier how that they're made out of essentially 3 identical parts that are just snapped together. And it turns out these snaps are not too difficult to disassemble. I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you're gentle with it, you can just sort of pry them apart like so. Give me a second. Yeah. I accidentally undid that, or redid that. Some are a little easier than others. Okay, that's one. There we go. Yeah, so takes a little bit of fiddling, a little bit of finesse, but now these have come off. Now they don't come all the way off. I'll have to undo the screw, which I don't feel like actually undoing that. But with these off, you actually get a much better view of the internals that are kind of just hiding in plain sight. Yeah. And so it turns out what actually gives the capacitor its strength is not this dinky little spring on top. No, that is just meant for the pointers. No, what actually gives it its strength is this slightly larger spring down here underneath. And it's being held in place by this paddle and then another paddle inside. Like so. Which, yeah, that's kind of neat. So yeah, that's the capacitor. Right, another resistor. 500 ohm. I already have one of those, so another repeat part, but still, it's a nice part to have. And then moving on, let's look at the inductor next, which already just from the feel alone, yeah, this thing is heavy. This thing, you could chuck this across a room and hurt someone with it. Yeah. So get some cool wagon wheel effect on the camera. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, it definitely has quite a lot of rotational inertia, which is to be expected. It is an inductor after all. It's mostly balanced. There's a very slight vibration to it, but it's not, like, if I wasn't holding it, I wouldn't really even notice. Like, you can sort of see it wobbling. I'm holding it very lightly, and so to sort of exaggerate the wobble, but yeah, it's pretty damn well balanced. I'll give them credit. It does its job. The other thing which I don't know if I'm a huge fan of, but I'll experiment with it at my own risk, is there's this brake, this friction clutch on the top here, which they do claim it's for safety, so it doesn't spin dangerously fast, which I can see why they would think that, and I might leave it on, but not gonna lie, a stupid part of me is curious what happens if I take it off, and it's just an O-ring. It's just an O-ring held in place by a few bumps, so it should be relatively easy to just pop off. Although with that said, it doesn't feel like a normal, like, sealing O-ring. It feels softer than that. It feels almost like a silicone. It feels like silicone rubber. It's got a bit of a give to it, which makes it also kind of grippy. I am curious how this will age over time, if it'll get dry and cracked, but that'll be a problem in a few decades. And the nice thing is, it is very easy to access, so it should be easy to replace in theory if I could find a suitable replacement. But again, like, I'm guessing that's a problem I'll have to deal with in a decade or so. So not a short-term problem. I will say though, these little ball cages are really interesting. Like, they're 2-part molded, and then, or like 2 individual pieces and then snapped together, trapping a little steel BB inside. Well, more like a steel marble, less a BB, but yeah, that's really neat. Also, significantly smaller sprockets on this one compared to it. Is this a 10? No, it looks bigger than a 10 tooth. So, or 10 link. So actually, something else I measured is how many links does it take to go around. And for this one, so it's 10 links around the top, 20 links around the middle, and 30 links around the bottom. And for most components, yeah, it's 20 links. For most components, it's 20 links, same as the middle. With the exception of the motor being, what was it, 12.5 links for reasons? Yeah, I don't understand why that is either, but okay. So yeah, I'll say I love the aesthetic of this. Like who doesn't love a flyball governor on a steam engine? Like, it's arguably one of the more iconic components of a steam engine. Yeah, especially like any stationary steam engines or steam traction engines. Like, yeah, flyball governors are just very iconic, very lovely, very steampunk, for lack of better words. Like, it's just really fun, and I love this metallic green as well. It's lovely. Lovely jovely. Alright, moving on. The next component is the transistor, which, yeah. Oh, that is really cool. That is intricate. Like, okay, that is clever. So, alright, so yeah, that is so cool. So, by default, when it's in its off state, when there's no voltage applied, you got these 3 lever arms on the top, which go to pivots and then go to these little brake shoes on the bottom here. Yeah, so you got these little brake shoes on the bottom here, which then engage this rubber band, which feels like it's the same material, the same soft silicone as on the inductor. And it means that this bottom layer, it can turn, but it's very high friction. But then as soon as I twist this a little bit, suddenly the bottom layer spins super easily. Interesting. Yeah. So the actual friction range is very small. Like, it doesn't take much for the friction to come off completely. And then there's a lot of free travel here, which, okay. And yeah, interesting design is that you got this little lever switch where you can adjust which polarity this is. So here clockwise is positive polarity, and if I try to turn it counterclockwise, it just binds up. It doesn't want to move, which, that's interesting. That's interesting that they designed it that way. And then of course you can flip it. Now it's counterclockwise that activates it, and clockwise does nothing. very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I certainly look forward to messing around more with those. And so, yeah, that's box 2. Not a huge amount to talk about, at least not in comparison with box 1. Like, it's a lot of repeat components. The 2 new ones are the inductor and the transistor. But of what we got here, they are still rather lovely. Right. Before we pack things in, I do want to quickly take a look at, you know what, yeah, while we're here, I do want to quickly take a look at, and let me just put this away. Let's take a quick look at this while we are here. I know it's mostly the same components, but we do get a few new variants of the resistor. Alright, so there's that. I'll set you off to one side, probably won't keep you. Alright, yeah, this is what I mean, like, the side is the complete height of the part, or of the box, I mean. What's it say? Power pack. Charge your circuits with more power. Spintronics. Build mechanical circuits. 11 new puzzles. Another, of course, another one of these advertisements. Same as before. Cool. Neat little book. I'll take a look at that in a moment. And here it is. Another one of these power packs. More desiccate. And 2 more resistors. These are values we don't have already. 50 ohm, which, yeah, that is really lightweight. There's barely any resistance on that, which makes sense for something that's supposed to be rated at 50 ohms, especially compare like in Act 1, the lowest value is 200, so it's nice that we got the full variety here. We got 50 and we got 100. And yeah, that's also fairly lightweight. Not much going on there, but a little bit heavier than the 50. The 50, barely anything. So, yeah. Rather nifty. And, you know what, while I'm here, can you give me a moment? I want to just gush about this motor unit for a second, because I did a little research, and it is an ingenious little device. Absolutely bloody ingenious. So, yeah, so we'll zoom way in on it, and move those out of the way. So, where to begin? Like, it is bloody clever. Okay, so something which I think is absolutely hilarious. Right, if I get back out Spintronics Act 1. So yeah, if we look at the book, so here it says care for parts, and right. So, most importantly, do not expose Spintronic parts to water. That makes sense. Keep long hair tied back and away from the parts. No one likes to get entangled. Do not take apart the resistor, as the silicon oil inside may come out altering the resistance. Okay, I mean, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you don't want to take it apart. The oil will make a huge mess, and it'll be hard to put back together. But I love that their main concern is, oh yeah, don't take it apart because, oh, it may be dangerous, or, oh, please don't disassemble our stuff. No, it's, the oil may come out and alter the resistance. It's like, oh yeah, it'll throw off the calibration. It's like, that's their concern. Okay, moving on. Do not push string into the battery. Let the battery pull the string in by itself. Very good advice. You don't, like, having worked with, like, string-based machines, yeah, string tangles super easily, and if it jumps a pulley, it is so hard to get back on, so, really ingeniously designed pulley system to keep the string on. I'll mention that in a moment, but it's so simple and yet so clever. But yeah, so yeah, do not push it because trying to refeed the string is tricky. Moving on. Number 5, do not expose the parts to temperatures over 150 Fahrenheit, 65 Celsius. Yeah, it is plastic. You don't want the stuff melting. And number 6, and by far my favorite, not sure if I can get it, but yeah. Open the battery at your own risk. Yeah, they say that. They encourage you to disassemble it. Like, what? Like, what other toy product can you think of that, you know, kind of encourages you to take their toy apart? So, it says, open the battery at your own risk. The spring holds a lot of energy. If you want to fix something inside, follow the instructions available at http://spintronics.com/troubleshooting. And out of curiosity, I did go to that link, and there is a full-on video and like tutorial showing step by step the process of taking one of the Spintronic motors apart and putting it back together. Like who does that? What toy company encourages you to take the toy apart? Like, this, like, huge thumbs up, like, major respect there. I love that. I love that they actively encourage you to actually mess around with their toys. Like, that is, I got a big grin when I read that. Right. So yeah, going back over the motor because it is super ingeniously designed. So that rattling sound you hear, that is not what I thought it was. I thought that was like part of the clutch mechanism because yeah, if you let it spin really fast, yeah, there's a emergency brake mechanism that prevents it from spinning any further and breaking the device. And yeah, really cool, like, cool idea to like not let your device break on you. The way it's implemented is also really clever. Also, it is, according to their instructional video, also kind of a necessary feature for assembly and disassembly. So right, let's go over the components very quickly. Starting from the very bottom and working our way up. Well, alright, so it's hard to see, but okay, so you got this main stem here, and then at the very bottom you have a wheel, and as I pull the string out, you'll see that the wheel turns. Notably, it turns opposite to the top wheel. And yeah, that is actually a take-up reel for the spring. Well, in reality, actually, that is a wheel that the spring lives on. So there is sort of an S-spring hiding in there. So yeah, between here and here, this wheel and this set, there's a spring that's tightly wound around here, and it comes across and then is wound in the opposite direction on this one. And as you pull back, you wind more of the spring onto this wheel and unwind it off of this one. But because it's tightly wound in one direction, the spring is bent one way, and then when it tries to wrap around the other one, it has to wind the opposite direction, something that the spring doesn't want to do. And so it forces itself back onto the first wheel, giving tension. And yeah, that's basically where the power comes from. Now, just below the spring, yeah, unfortunately it's really hard to capture on camera, but, okay, so, yeah, you can just sort of barely make out the teeth of a little ratchet wheel at the very bottom there. Yeah, there you go. So you see at the very, very bottom, the spiky teeth. That is part of the clutch mechanism. And then on the gold piece here, you can see the other clutch mechanism. And so yeah, those teeth engage each other when the clutch trips and stops the whole mechanism. So what actually trips the clutch? Well, you'll see a gray lever arm right here. So one pivot is in the center of this right here, and then it rides on this sliding groove here, and so it basically can rotate like this. There's a spring right there that's normally holding it back, but there's a pawl. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so see that red thing that moves back and forth across the silver arm? That thing there is a pawl. Now, normally there's a spring that holds it in, that tries to keep it tucked in, and so it doesn't do anything. But when it spins really fast, the inertia of that pawl overrides the spring, kicking it out, and then when it comes round, it hits the side of this lever, and that makes the whole arm kick out, sliding this pin through the slot, moving this set of teeth upwards, and engaging into the teeth at the very bottom there, stopping the whole mechanism. And it's like, that is really cool. That is really cool. Very clever little mechanism built into such a small little package. Then we got moving up, we got the string spool, which is near the top. And fun fact, it's actually the string itself that determines how far you can wind and unwind it. When you pull it all the way back, you're essentially, there's no hard stops within the mechanism. The only thing that prevents you from pulling it all the way out is that the string is physically tied on at one end, and when you pull it all the way out, you essentially just run out of string. And fun other fact, the only thing to prevent it from winding in further is the tension on the string here. So this knob is an integral part of the mechanism. Take the knob off or cut the string and the whole thing will spin wildly as a string wraps around, and you lose your tension on your spring. They do recommend when reassembling it to wind the spring 3 times, wind the spring 3 times, 3 full revolutions before putting it all back together to preload the spring. That way that you get a constant force throughout the entire travel of the mechanism. Now, obviously you get slightly less strength towards the end and slightly more when it's fully wound up, but it's negligible. It's pretty darn close. It's not a huge issue. So yeah, again, really cool. And then lastly, the top and most obvious is we got a set of spur gears. One here, driving a pinion down there, driving another wheel here, and then driving a pinion down there, which then drives this stack of sprockets up here. And yeah, that is probably the most obvious. Oh yeah, and there's a set of pawls and ratchets molded into the plastic to, yeah, so while the stack does not rotate, this top gear can freewheel forwards, which is useful because there's quite a few times where you have a project that maybe is spinning at speed, and inertia wants to keep going, as inertia does, but like I said, the string hits the end limit, and the stack cannot wind any further because it pulls the string tight. And so you don't want a sudden stop that will jerk the machine and break things. So yeah, having that little pawl allows it to freewheel forwards. Yeah, again, really ingenious little device. And I love that you can see basically the whole mechanism through this clear plastic cover. Even if some of it's a little bit buried and hard to see, you can still see it if you look carefully and you know what you're looking for. So, yeah, big thumbs up. Really clever device. Absolutely brilliant. I can gush about this all day. Alright, so yeah, that's the motor component. Let's move on. The last thing which I want to briefly talk about... let's see if I can find them. Right. The diodes. So I have not actually played around with these yet, so let's see what they're like. More packaging. How do I open this without being overly destructive? Well, too late now. I don't think that was meant to be cut, but whatever. Yeah. Oops. There's a tab. Well, it's not like I'm putting it back anyways. And here we are. Let's get a close-up. And here is the... Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, and it's in black. Ooh. Yeah, I like that every component... I think I mentioned this earlier, but I love that every component has its own little color code. And so this is black and gold, which... Nice. Very, very fancy. Okay. That looks like trouble. You got this tiny little spring bridging these two pawls. And... yeah, it's just floating there. Like, there are tiny nubs holding each end of the spring on. You won't be able to see that, but yeah, there's little plastic nubs. Yeah, you can sort of see them. But yeah, I can definitely see with rough play that spring shooting off into infinity and never being able to see it again. So gonna have to be very delicate with these parts. Do not mess around with that spring, because Lord knows I'll never find it again. Nice clickety-clack ratchet. And yeah, it's a nice locks in place. Yeah. Works like a diode. It wants to rotate one way, not the other. One nitpick, if I had any, is they only come in one flavor. They only rotate one direction. It would have been so nice if either they sold them in bi-directional, and or best solution would be if there was a lever that you could flip and it could twist the other way. And this is not impossible. Like a ratchet, like an actual like tool ratchet for tightening and loosening nuts and bolts, has a knob on the back you can twist and turn to change its direction. So the mechanism has been invented. It's just a case of incorporating into something of this form factor, and ideally putting in some way that you can visibly see the mechanism, because that is a huge part of what Spintronics brand is sort of going for, is that visibility of how the mechanism works. But yeah, as is, a one-way ratchet still is useful, and to get opposite rotation, there are two solutions. One, you can use junction shenanigans where, yeah, junctions have a funny way where if you lock the bottom level and spin the middle level, they can spin in opposite directions. Either that or wrap a chain around the outside of this. And so, yeah, instead of having the chain go around this, have the chain come up, over, and then around another thing, and then back down. That also could work. But, yeah, as is, pretty cool. Not gonna lie. But, again, I don't know why they did not include this with any of the sets, which also means that there's no puzzles that use this as a solution. Why? Like, diodes are such a fundamental part of, like, regular electronics. They convert AC into DC. You can use them to rectify things. You can use them to store up capacitance. Like, you can do funny things with them where you can, like, overcharge a capacitor. I guess maybe they're worried about, damaging things. I don't know, but like, one other nice thing about having these magnetic bases is, I think I mentioned this, but if you try to apply more force than a part can handle, more often than not, the magnetic base will give out first, not the component. So again, good design. Which also leads me to think that's also why they have such a large space between the base and the actual gear wheels, is so that when you apply a large power to it, it falls over, as opposed to merely slides. I think that's an assumption, I'm guessing, but whatever. And so, yeah. Let's clear this clutter out of the way. And so, yeah, that was Spintronics. At least my first impressions of it. So far, very positive, very good. I've been having so much fun just sort of messing around with the parts and looking at all the little intricate details and just playing around, making cool little circuits and cool little things and watching it turn. And it's just oddly satisfying watching something slowly turn, like, yeah, it's, So yeah, so far, very positive first impressions. I'm in love. Definitely something, well, again, I haven't done any of the puzzles, so I can't attest to their quality or their skill or whatnot. I'm saving that for something special, but, yeah, just the general components and their, like, build quality and whatnot. So far, again, not perfect. I do have nitpicks, but overall, very happy with them. Very happy with it in... Oh, I just noticed. Yeah, there's a little diode symbol on the side of this, showing which way it can go. That's really neat. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, overall, very happy with these sets. So, yeah, thumbs up. Anyway, I think I'll wrap things up here. You guys have a great one. Take care, and catch us some other time. Bye-bye.